What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the BizDad Podcast. Today, I am excited to have a conversation with a man on a boat, hanging out on the last nice day in Canada, as you said. David Fraser, looking forward to having a good conversation with you. If you can, David, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us about your family and tell us about your business.
Sure. So my name is David Fraser. I am the father of four girls, one boy. I live in Ontario, Canada for about half the year. I live in kind of Fort Myers area, Florida for another half of the year. And I'm co-founder with my wife of a company called Bunkie Life. We make small log cabin kits that anyone can build in a weekend without needing a permit or a second mortgage. Ultimately, we help families build memory and a space for extra connection. We founded that business in 2018, basically, and now manufacture our own stuff in Ontario, Canada, and ship it all over North America.
That is awesome. I'm looking at buying a large property to build a house on. And those, after I heard about the bunkies, I was like, man, I'd love to have one or two of those in the back for some, when you have family over, when you have different things. I look forward to digging into that a little bit.
Welcome to the BizDad Podcast, where we dive into the melding of fathership and entrepreneurship with your host, the original BizDad himself, Adam Labar. Adam is a Christian, a former Air Force officer, a dad to 3 amazing kids, a coach, a real estate investor, and a business owner. On this podcast, he'll explore the unique journeys of amazing dads who are striving for greatness in both business and family. So whether you're a dad who is an aspiring entrepreneur, a seasoned business owner, or simply a man striving to be a better dad, get ready as the BizDad brings you conversations to inspire, challenge, and equip you to be a better dad and entrepreneur. And now, here's Adam.
Before we go down that route, I want to rewind a little bit. How did David become David? Let me just kind of rewind, understand who you were growing up. Tell us about your parents, what it was like for you growing up.
Yeah, so I'm the oldest of 4 boys, and I was from a pretty early age kind of like that nerdy kid. I was always into reading and learning stuff. I was homeschooled until about grade 9. And I've been the type of person, generally, I would set my mind to something and I'd go about accomplishing. So there was a big scholarship in high school that I went for and ended up ultimately getting. I took a kind of random route to get into what I do now, but I went to the University of Windsor, which is like across the river from Detroit, and ended up actually getting a physics and math and education degree. So I was actually, for a very brief period of time, a teacher, but not very successful at that. Didn't love some of the bureaucracy in the teaching kind of educational sphere. So
no way. I don't believe that at all.
Yeah. And looking back, it felt like I dodged a bullet there as well. Yeah. But throughout university, I was kind of playing in bands and doing music stuff. And so about, basically half a year into teaching, I transitioned into full-time music. I was kind of doing it part-time and then ventured on my own and started playing music full-time. So for about 10 years, I was traveling around playing 200 to 300 shows a year across mostly Ontario and just recording music and playing professionally and actually having a great time of it. Met my wife, Carrie, throughout that journey. We started having kids and I realized pretty early on into having kids, like, I don't think I want to be in a pub like 6 nights a week. And so we were forming like a wedding spin-off of what I was doing there. So we were doing weddings. And then from there we did, that really until COVID. So we had a really successful wedding entertainment company. And then the Bunkie thing, which is these little log cabin kits, this is like a side hustle I had. I was renting them out in my backyard. I originally built the very first one for my mom and dad to stay in, started renting them out. And so it was like, okay, well, make me a bunkie, Dave, get me a bunkie. So it kind of like spiraled there. But then when COVID came, it just murdered live events. And then everybody wanted to build a deck and a bunkie. So it was this pivot that I just happened to be kind of in the right place at the right time and just took advantage of the momentum that we'd already built before COVID and then it just took off during COVID.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, I would imagine COVID was a great time to have that happen and, everything changing, all the stuff. So what kind of stress did that add to you and your wife as you were kind of going, man, like what I was actually doing, that was making money, doing all the band stuff and all the stuff, like everything's going to be shut down. I can't do anything. Like, how did that sort of conversation start going?
Yeah, I mean, it was at the time we had just had our third daughter, So it was just like everything was in flux. It was quite an intense time. Luckily, we live in the country, so it wasn't like we were locked in a little apartment somewhere. That was helpful. But like Ontario went pretty draconian with our rules. Not as bad as some places in Canada, but it wasn't great. And so we tried to stay sane. The initial month or two after the big the world's ending happened, we were like quite uncertain, but what was going to happen because we had pre-sold a ton of bunkies for that spring. It was like our best ever winter launch or winter promotion, and so we're like, is everyone going to back out, or are we going to have tons and tons and tons of refunds or returns? But other than a few people that had lost their job, it was a little bit of a lull, and then everybody wanted a bunkie like that spring. So it was we didn't really have time to lick our wounds on the live entertainment side of things. It was just like we got to get the bunkie thing figured out. And it was kind of technically our third year. So we had some of the stuff in place, like some of the processes in place, and we had to, of course, pivot a lot during COVID because everything was breaking down with supply chains. But overall, we didn't have time to reflect on, the end of the old life. We just had to build the new life kind of as the plane was flying.
What's going on, everybody? I wanted to jump in and take a second to tell you about the awesome team over at Wise VAs. Oftentimes, as entrepreneurs, we can feel a bit overwhelmed with mundane tasks that eat up our valuable time, and it's time to reclaim that schedule, all right? It's time to stop doing some of those $10 an hour jobs and give them back to an elite group of talent that are there specifically to help you and help you stay in your zone of genius. So delegate those $10 an hour tasks to focus on more $1,000 an hour tasks. Reclaim what matters most in your life, which is your time. Get that amazing team of elite remote talent that is there to help support you and make sure that you are giving back the best to your company. So schedule a free strategy call at getwisevas.com/Adam. That is getwisevas.com/Adam. It is an amazing group, an amazing team. They do an awesome job with everything that they've got going on there. If you have some tasks on the side, whether it's administrative, whether it's editing, whether it's recording, whatever it is, they have got an assistant for you, someone who is going to be able to help you out and take some of those tasks off of your plate. I thank Wise VAs every day for helping me process all of these podcasts, helping me take care of a bunch of stuff in the background. And I definitely would recommend them over to you. So again, getwisevas.com/Adam. All right. Thanks a lot. Back to the show. Yeah. And I think that's good to do anyways, because, if you dwell on the fact that something is not going the way that it wants to go or the way that you thought it was going to go, then you're only going to pull yourself behind anyways. You might as well just say, hey, that it is what it is. That's what happened. So let's move forward. So, And how long have you and your wife been married?
So we were married in 2009. So we've been married. So, yep.
Okay. So you're on your third kid in, I guess 10 years at that point. 12 years. So, okay. My wife and I were married in 2010. So just shortly after you. And it was I wish we would have had as many kids as quickly. But it took us 12 years to have 3 kids. So,
yeah. And we're in the same boat. We had this weird 3 or 4 year gap before we had our first kid, and it was like our baby boomer parents were both like, "Don't rush into anything," blah blah blah. And like in retrospect, we're like, I wish we had just like tripled down on kids right away, because the reality is I didn't accomplish anything really substantial. It wasn't like I cured cancer in that little interim of having no kids, and I think it was a forcing function for me as a man to up my game, focus on what actually needs to happen as opposed to what I'd like to happen. And so I was able to just having my first daughter was just a distraction elimination machine, and I was able to level up a lot. That's when the wedding business started. That's when I learned a lot of things. So we have 5 kids now, but we had I think really 5 pretty serious miscarriages. So there's these big.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So there's these big kind of 2-year gaps between most of our kids because we had a number of struggles. And so, you might think you have all this time in the world, but you don't always. In our case, we didn't. Yeah. And, we didn't realize how much we'd love having kids until you kind of have your, it's starting to get really, really fun. It's really hard, but it's really, really fun. And you don't realize that until you're kind of into it. And you don't appreciate, I think having the miscarriages allowed us to appreciate, hey, these are hard people to bring into the world here, and let's do as much as we can. So, if we had started earlier, we'd have a little more runway right now. I just turned 41, Carrie turned 40, and I think I think we're done now, and it's a bit sad because we think we could have had more, and we would have enjoyed that. So, yeah.
Yeah. I wish I would have 7, but my wife decided, which I don't blame her. I'm the one that's scary, or she's the one that's scary. I'm just like, hey, once we were past 40, she was like, we can't, my body can't keep wanting to do this. And we want to eventually retire one day. Right. So,
sure.
But 3 is a massive blessing. I'm stoked about it. I love to hear that you have 5. I told this, we were just recently in Atlantis down in the Bahamas, and I was chatting with this couple. They had just been married for 2 years. I was talking about being a dad and how it was like the best thing in the entire world, the most rewarding thing you could do. Yes, terribly difficult at times. You want to, scratch your eyeballs out and rip your hair out once in a while, but it is by far the best thing to do in the world. And this couple was like, tell me more. We're at the craps table. Like, it's like midnight. We're at the craps table, and I was just pouring all of this love for my kids out, and just you have no idea until you do it. And I told them, I said, tonight, you guys are on your 2-year anniversary. Tonight is the night you go and make it happen. Like, go have your first, go make the first one happen tonight. Like, just enough is enough. And because you don't know when you're not going to be able to have any more. You don't know how long it's going to actually take. You don't know what you're missing until you have it. So I strongly encourage everybody, I wish that we would have had a honeymoon baby, it would have been, what a blessing,
Yeah. My best friend had a honeymoon baby. I was 19, he was 21 when he first got married, and 9 months later to the day. But he's got 5 kids himself now, and they're all grown up, doing things. Yeah. He's living the dream. He's at the time I was like, your life's over, bro. You're done. But now I'm like, dude, I'm gonna be an old dad, and I think we need more cheerleaders like you at the craps table. We need more people pumping up. Not just that it's fun, and it is fun, and it's hard. It is hard, but also you as a person level up, and you literally shoulder more responsibility, and you get stronger. And I think that aspect of things is super downplayed in the general society. Yes. It's like parenting. I'd say if you took across the sampling of how parenting is portrayed on Facebook or the news or whatever, it's probably 80% negative, or 80% tongue-in-cheek, my kids are devils, but I love them anyways, kind of that type of thing. And there isn't just too much unadulterated, I'm so glad I'm a dad. I'm so glad I get to watch these little people grow up and be a small part of that. It's an under-cheered on role that you get to play as a dad and as a mom too. But I feel like the mom ecosystem's different. The dad one is just there isn't a lot of which is why I'm so glad to see your podcast and what you're doing out there. It's not just about business, it's about the full circle of life, which is keeping the next generation going. And when you look back on your life, you're gonna remember what you gave away, and you literally gave in my case 5, in your case 3 kids to the world. It's a pretty big deal.
Yeah for sure. And it's gonna far outlast any business that we do, right? Is our name, our legacy, what we're doing with our family. So, and it's so much more important. I tell people all the time, I'd so much rather have a $10 million business and a healthy family than a $100 million business and a family that's is hurting. It just doesn't, wait, I'm getting blasted over here. Usually my notifications are off. My apologies. I hope you didn't hear that. All of a sudden my FaceTime started going off on my computer. What was I saying? Yeah, I don't even remember what I was saying now.
10 million versus $10 million.
Oh yeah,
with the kids, $100 million.
It's your family is so much more important. And if I have to give up all of my business stuff and go back to a normal W-2 just so I can do more family stuff, so I can be more involved, then I do it, because that is way more important to me. So as you're kind of building out your business, speaking of the business side, as you're building out your business, you're building it sounds like with your wife. Are your kids included in the business? Do they get homeschooled? How does that? How does the dynamic look like there?
Our kids are homeschooled. Yeah. So our oldest is in an online school out of Pennsylvania, and then our middle ones are kind of homeschooled, and then our youngest are just playing with Lego and stuff. But so as much as I kind of try to incorporate my kids. So my oldest is in a lot of the videos. I always say, hey, I'm David. I'm the founder of Bunkie Life, or I'm the owner of Bunkie Life. And then Evie says, and I'm Evie Fraser, the future owner of Bunkie Life. So that's our little shtick.
Nice. I love it.
I had my next youngest, who's now about to turn 9. She was, the check-in person at our last couple events, checking people in and stuff. So just try to get them involved as much as possible. And it's, we really are a family business. So people love that. And the kids get to, see what it's like to work a full day's work. And as a 9-year-old, it's awesome. It's really been a lot of fun. And even our youngest, like we try to incorporate everybody as we can. We took a RV trip out to the east coast of Canada a couple of weeks ago and got them involved in that whole process of traveling, interviewing clients, filming. They're all part of everyone had a little role to play as we were doing our little trip, and it was a great family vacation / write-off opportunity. It was really fun.
Yeah. For sure. That sounds like a blast. Yeah. I was telling you right before we started recording that I'm in the process of closing on a business, and it's a business I would have never expected to buy. But it's an escape room, and it just kind of landed in my lap through a friend, and I was like, yeah, sure, like this sounds like fun, and mainly because my wife, who just retired from the military, was like, boy, that sounds like it'd be a lot of fun, and I was like, okay, like if you're excited about it, then we're buying it. Like I don't even care, like let's make it happen. And my kids got so excited, like we were there all weekend, and they're in there running around the escape room, like learning all the different things, and they're like, oh well, can we put a vending machine in here? That the vending machine is our portion of the business, and like they want to be involved, and I love being able to watch it. Like it was something I was never exposed to when I was a kid. I was a military brat turned military guy, never knew anything about business, never knew anything about saving money, investing, nothing. And now I'm like, man, what a difference is happening in my kid's life. So I love hearing, stories like yours where the kids are involved and they're doing things. And I want my kids to get involved in some of the video stuff and bring on the, helping check people in and all that. Like it's exciting, like, and they want to do it. So it's a lot of fun. So how are you working through some of the difficulties of, well, I mean, they're a kid, they've got school, they've got all this stuff, like, balancing, helping them kind of make sure that they're getting involved as they want to in the business, but yet still, being kids and enjoying that portion of it.
Well, I mean, it's not like it's an everyday thing. There isn't like we have as much opportunity as I can lend them. I give it to them gradually, but I honestly, we take school semi-seriously in the Fraser household. Like we look at it as like, we want to learn our basic arithmetic and our kind of basic skills, but like, I don't know, other than work ethic, I don't know if I'm really that concerned if they aren't learning Pythagoras' theorem and things like that. They're also like, if I really look back on what I retained, I mean, obviously the mitochondria is the powers of the cell, but I don't know if I've really used a lot of that and taken that with me. So I want them to learn the value of like a day's hard work. I want them to learn the value of like thinking in terms of like cost of goods and like turning a profit, like all that type of thinking. And they're going to learn that probably a lot faster working with us in the business. So I don't stress if I got to pull them out of school for a day, like we'll do that anytime. And they're also, they're at like the oldest is in grade 7. So it's not catastrophic at this point in middle school, but even like they'll probably be enrolled in some type of online school or something, or maybe even a real school. I don't know. We take it 1 year at a time, but I'm not going to be the type of person that lets like, you can miss school on a Friday if we're going to do something better. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. We do the same thing. Like when we went to the Bahamas, I told them, I said, maybe we'll bring some school stuff. Maybe we won't. We'll see, And if we can fit some stuff in, we fit it in. If not, it's okay. Like, they still got to see, like, I mean, once in a while, I still have to work even when we're in the Bahamas. So you're going to see that the hard work happens no matter where you're at. And, and hard work looks different to one person than it does to another. So it's so like, that's one of the things I love about the homeschool side of the house. So you mentioned you were homeschooled. Was your wife homeschooled as well?
No, she went to a little country school. So she has a little bit of, and she has a positive experience of that public school. I didn't go to public school until halfway through grade 9. So my experience of it was like, I don't know if you were homeschooled, but like for me, I look at the whole structure as like kind of a game to be like played around. I don't take it that seriously. Whereas I found my brothers who went to school a little bit earlier and earlier. So like my youngest, I think went to school in grade 5 or grade 6. They really look at like the system as like, you really got to obey like the authorities and stuff. Right? And I'm just kind of like, like by the time I got to high school, I was already old enough that like, I feel like I have a lot more not cynicism, but probably cynicism, something close to cynicism, where like, I'm like, like you try to get good grades and stuff, but like at the end of the day, it's all kind of BS. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, and now having employed, I've employed probably 100 people at this point on and off. And I've looked at thousands and thousands of resumes, and I don't care. Like nobody cares about what grade you got in, high school, even university. Like, have you ever checked someone's Transcripts? Like, I've
Nope.
never even thought of doing
not
that.
at all.
And so, if you work backwards from what you hope for your kids, which is like, some way of getting income. It could be a job, it could be a business, whatever. I would hope it would be something entrepreneurial, but you work backwards from that. Like, it's about how do I make people cooperate with me. It's about how do I create value for other people, right? How do I communicate to them in a way that they value? Those like little life lessons are like way more valuable than just like whatever kind of box they're trying to shove you in school. And I was able to, like, I looked at high school as I just wanted to get this one scholarship so it would pay for my university. That was like the only reason I was there. And so all of the things I did were like in conjunction with that one goal. And so if you have a goal and you want to become a doctor or something, it makes sense to pursue higher education and to do well. But if you're like, I think it's good to get a diverse and well-rounded approach to the marketplace while you, like, as young as you can get it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that once you find out, I've got a friend of mine, Aaron Amuchastegui. He was on the podcast almost at the very beginning, but he and his wife wrote a book called The 4-Hour School Week, and they focus on homeschooling and all the stuff, right? And he was like, look, my daughter did not do so well with math for a long time. Like, she wasn't interested, so we didn't push it, and that's okay. He says, and then one day, like, she needed a certain math level for something that she wanted to do, so it turned into, oh, well, now I need to know it. And he's like, so in one weekend, we taught her all the math she needed to know to get to the point she needed because she had a reason, she was motivated, and then she knocked it out. And now that math's not a problem, she went and do it. So to your point, like, if you have a goal in mind where you want to go, then go. Like, we'll figure it out. We'll work towards that goal. But to force somebody to do X, Y, and Z all the time because this is what the system says you have to do drives me absolutely insane. And there's this homeschool thing I'm a part of now that kind of, I like it because there's a community aspect to it, but they're very strict on some of the age things for some of the things in it. And I'm like, the whole point of me doing this is because I get to put my kid at a level that he's at. So I don't care what age he is. Like, if he's ready for 10th grade reading in 6th grade, then I give him 10th grade reading in 6th grade. I don't care, and I'll keep him in 6th grade math. But yet, like, that's one of the beauties. So I don't know. It was difficult. I mean, you said your wife went to a small country school, so it probably wasn't that difficult to do the homeschool side of the house. But what was her thought at first with the homeschool thing?
She bought into it. Like, I'd say she's not a natural teacher. She's a bit of a dictator. But like, it, our oldest has really thrived with the online school, which is still, there's a lot of homeschooling to that, right? Like, it's not like it's just but she's really thrived with that because she's a social kid. And then our middle, so our second daughter is doing okay. And then our third daughter is like, she's kind of like me. She's pretty, like, reading ahead of her grade level and doing all this stuff. So I like, and very loud and exactly like me. And so, we're just like you said, we're just, you're going to do grade 1. Cause even though she's only kindergarten age, just do grade 1 stuff. Just throw stuff at her that, as long as she's enjoying it, that's the key. And so, we're, and to your point earlier, like, when your kid's ready, like, we were a little bit worried about my 8-year-old. She wasn't reading amazing, but literally this past month, she kind of picked it up, and now she's got a stack of books that she's read. She's got a stack of books she's getting to, and she's reading to her little sisters and brother, and she's just like so into it. And it's like, if we had got super anal about it and like push, she would have hated it. So I think keeping in perspective, like, that everyone's going to kind of digest at a different pace, and that's okay. Homeschooling should have that breathability and that, like, flex that you can shovel them what they actually need. And like you said, if you have a goal, like, I need to get this to solve that, like, you're gonna figure that out. And so just like, that's where you need that extracurricular, like, set of problems that you're trying to solve, that you need the school work as ammunition to solve that. Like just running a little kiddie business is going to probably make them pay more attention to, like, plus, like, their math because they just have to apply. Like, why didn't you make it? Why is there no money in the piggy bank? Oh, because you didn't do, like, cost of goods math.
Exactly. And this has a real world consequence if you don't do it. Where, getting an F on a math test doesn't have real world consequences, but if your piggy bank is empty, that's a real world consequence that a kid feels, like, so
exactly.
My kids were talking about that with the vending machine. They were like, well, what if we just bought the vending machine ourselves, Dad, because we don't want to have to owe you money. And I was like, okay, well, how much money do you guys have together to be able to do it? Because it may be X amount of money. And they're like, oh, well, we may not have that. I said, well, now comes a bank, right? And now you need a loan from the bank, and now you need to do other, but it's so much more conversation about what real life actually is that your average 6-year-old and 10-year-old is not getting out there. So now I don't need to teach them how to balance a checkbook anymore, but I definitely need to teach you how to, because checks are obsolete, but I definitely need to teach you how to manage a bank account and manage what that looks like. So, well, I want to get into the business side a little bit as well, because I know you and I have to cut it a little bit short. I was late to this call, so my apologies to you and everybody listening. It's going to be a little bit shorter of a call regardless. But tell me about Bunkie Life. You started in 2018. You really started going full speed ahead, just full on that. Sounded like maybe 2021 during COVID. So what does it look like now? How large is this business? What's your goals? Where are you moving towards?
Yeah, so we're 42 employees now. There's about half of us on the manufacturing side. So we started our own factory in end of 2021, and then it's about 21 of us on the sales and service and support, and then there's about 20 of us roughly in the manufacturing of the product. So we've last year I think we're in Ontario, Canada is home base, but we ship all over North America. We went to all the provinces and most of the territories in Canada, and I think something like 42 or 43 US states last year. So we're still in that kind of growth phase of just dipping our toe in different markets and things, but we just have a really great cult, like an evangelical group of people that have bought Bunkies that are out there kind of spreading the word, which has been awesome. We got a really great relationship with a lot of our clients, and so our main demographic is like someone who's maybe they have a cottage or a lake house or like a vacation property, and it's like 1 or 2 bedrooms, but they want the whole family together. So for a lot of people, the Bunkie is that bridge of like, can our kids and their grandkids actually come and all be together or not? So that's a big part of it. And we manufacture a small, easy to build kit. Like you can build this with your kids or your grandkids. And so we've realized that it's not just about the product, which is part of it. It's a bridge for meaningful connection, but it's also an experience of like building it with your kids and your grandkids. And you can stand back at the end of a weekend or so and go, wow, we did that ourselves. So everything we do is educated around, how do we make this as easy as possible for like the average Joe or Josephine to do it with their kids or their grandkids, and how do we create that experience to be as good as possible. So like, the Bunkie kind of needs to come on time because you planned for next weekend. It needs to come on Wednesday so you can actually do it on the weekend. Like all these like things that when you really think about it backwards from like a great weekend experience with your family that creates a great product, then you have to work backwards from that. Like everything has to be good. It has to be kind of when we say it. So that's been kind of the epiphany over the last year or so. I was like, man, like we got to make sure we're emphasizing like a great experience, not just a great product. So that's been kind of fun. And in terms of where we'd like to be, so we'll ship about 1,000 Bunkies roughly this year, I think.
Wow.
Our big, hairy, audacious goal is we want to serve 15,000 families across North America or the world. We want to donate $1 million every year to a charity we support, Ronald McDonald House. They have a goal of keeping families close. So if your kid's in the hospital, like 3-4 hours away, Ronald McDonald House is the bridge between you being able to be there with your kids or not. So it's very similar to what we do, and our missions are pretty much aligned. So we've been supporting them for, I guess, 5 years now. So we donate a portion. Kind of when you buy a Bunkie, we'll donate a night's stay at a Ronald McDonald House. So that's been a cool partnership that we've had for, I guess, 5 years now. And so, like we just want to keep growing that impact as we grow. And we're currently manufacturing in Ontario, but we really feel important that we once we're probably the next 2 years, we'll be maxed out at our factory in Ontario. And then we want to do something in the U.S. We're looking pretty seriously at kind of the Tennessee, northern Mississippi area for a potential expansion, like factory number 2.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I really love that. Now, when I'm going to ask some selfish questions because I've been thinking about one of these since I've interviewed another guy from Bunkie Life. So, what sort of regulations like do you have to deal with for this type of thing? Are there any issues? Like, I mean, I'm in Florida, so we have hurricanes and all the structure things, and they're a pain in the butt. So, is it the footprint small enough that you don't have to worry about certain things, or how does that kind of work in those fronts?
So, I mean, the answer, unfortunately, is that depends. So, as you know, in Florida, like I have a place in Florida, and like we just can't build anything without a bunch of red tape. I live in like basically a glorified HOA that's called Cape Coral. But there's lots of areas across North America where you can kind of take some of our products, just throw them down. They're small enough that you don't need a permit in a lot of areas. But obviously look into your local mafia and see what the exact regulations are. But we've specialized, like in a lot of places in America, it's like 199 square feet. You're just under the limit. In Ontario, Canada, it's like basically 10 by 10. And there's little niches. So we've got products probably in a niche that's just under the size that you're going to need a permit. But of course, that's really going to vary. Like we've built them in LA. We've built them in like Seattle. We have a few in Florida, but Florida's trickier because you do technically probably need a hurricane rating if you're going to be in any major city. So we're working on that actually right now is to get wind certified, but it's probably going to be a bit. And so, yeah, like outside of Florida, most areas you can either build it without a permit, or because our stuff is ultimately engineered, you can usually get an engineer to stamp it and get through the permit process. But what people love about our stuff is like you can literally buy it, get it shipped to you this weekend, build it this weekend, like finish it, have it ready to go this weekend. And in a lot of cases, you don't even need a permit. So like it just speeds the whole process up, because sometimes like even getting like an addition on the house is like months and months and months of BS, and this just kind of in a lot of cases, just kind of skirts around that. Do your own due diligence, though, if you're listening.
Of course. Yep.
Yeah.
So how do you get to, are these wired up for electricity? Is that like an option, or is it always going to be wired up for electricity? How does that work?
Yeah. So we just sell the shell. It's kind of like a big Lego kit of wood. And so you'll assemble it. It's like a big Lincoln log set. So you can add plumbing, electrical, insulation, that type of thing relatively easily, but it's kind of like we sell the kit itself, and then it's the canvas. You can do whatever you want for painting. In most areas, like in Florida, for example, you wouldn't probably need insulation. You could probably not need that, but you would want air conditioning, and you probably want to wire it up for that. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah. And what is the average size of one of these? Do you have multiple different sizes? It sounded like you have multiple different sizes of these bunkies. Yeah,
they range in size from about, excluding the little bathroom bunkie that we sell, there's about 100 square feet to about 380 in a loft scenario. Okay. So they're all basically 200 square feet or less.
That's really cool. And what's the cost kind of look like for these?
Between $6,000 and $25,000.
Okay, that's really cool. That's like you said, it's way cheaper than trying to add an addition to your house. So, and I would imagine that as you mentioned Tennessee, I would imagine places like that would be phenomenal for these. I mean, you have your Airbnbs out there, and you're like, hey, like the kids want to have their own little camp out in the back. We're going to put a bunkie in the back, and the kids get to enjoy being out there and feel like they're on their own and all that sort of stuff. That would be a lot of fun to kind of set something like that up.
Yeah, we've got a number of clients that have done like, anywhere between 1 and some cases like 15 bunkies as little Airbnbs, and they've all done super good. Like they're pretty easy to cash flow because they're so inexpensive. So I can probably name 20 people. Like we actually just, one of our stops on our trip to Nova Scotia on our RV trip last month was Bunkie Land, which is like this like 5 bunkie kind of thing near the water in Nova Scotia, and they're just doing super good. I actually, at my house, the first 3 bunkies I built were for our own little use, but also I rented out an Airbnb, and they, as long as you don't get the government on your butt, like you can, it's so easy to make money renting these things out, because it's like a little bit different. They're cutesy, like, as long as you have a decent backyard, you can do really well with these.
That's really cool. Yeah, the government is always a pain in the butt, no matter where you're at. And you're in Canada, so the government's an extra pain in the butt. It's even worse than what we have to deal with. So at least I'm not in California. Florida is the free state of Florida for a reason. Let's keep it that way, right? So what sort of regulations have you ran into that are kind of a pain in the butt? What states do you, or what? I mean, Florida actually, have to deal with?
As much as it is the free state of Florida, 2 of our kids were born there in Florida, but we actually find Florida is tricky because a lot of places need full-on hurricane certification. So they take their building code very seriously in Florida, which is actually probably very much so. Yeah, probably fair. There's places in Texas just build whatever you want. Like it's just like there's no building code. There's places in Tennessee like that too. So there's little pockets around probably in every state. There's like little like non-incorporated areas. You can just kind of do whatever you want. California, actually, we sold a ton of bunkies in California, and my feeling actually is that they're at the point where they're like, we got a problem here, we got to like solve it, and so they're letting you do stuff, especially like outside of the city. But we've got a couple in like LA, like proper. So it really depends, and it also depends on what level of forgiveness or permission do you want to go for. We would never advise you just building anything on your own land that you allegedly own. But if you choose to do that, a lot of times it's complaint driven. Like, do your neighbors care or even see it? If the answer is no, probably gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Right. So
more than likely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the thought process. Yes, it goes back to what you were talking about by the time you went into school, you were kind of realizing that your level of authority, your care for authority, and all of that is a different side of the house. So I appreciate that personally.
Yeah, I feel like homeschool kids look at like the rules as like obstacles to navigate with and around, and I think that attitude with your local municipal authorities probably isn't the end of the world, Like, no, we sold thousands of these things. I haven't heard of anyone having their bunkie actually torn down.
But it is what it is.
Yeah, life.
And as long as you can work through it, it's funny because I was in the military for a long time, and that's not normally the place you get to kind of flex the decision-making skills, or be here or there on trying to work through what's good or bad, or what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do. But it was funny. I was going through, so I was a prior enlisted guy turned officer, and then when I was going through officer training, they would tell you weren't allowed to do all sorts of stuff, but they had this little book that you had to walk around with, and it had all the regulations and all the things. And if you could go into there and articulate what it was based off of what was in that book, they'd let you get away with it. So like you just assumed you weren't allowed to do certain things. But if you actually sat down and read the book, you were like, oh, these are the things I could get away with. And it was like, oh, these are like, hey, because of page this, the paragraph, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh yeah, great. Yep. You're allowed. Go ahead, knock it out, and it allowed me to kind of open up my eyes to, okay, I'm going to push as much as I can, which is odd because you don't typically hear that side of it. But I don't think the rest of the people looked at it that way. I looked at it that way. It's like, oh, this is how I can push my way around and get what I want, as opposed to this is what stops me from doing things. So I'm always looking for the way to get around something.
Yeah, I think people that are in a bureaucracy kind of get that a little bit too. They're like, to get anything done, I got to go around the thing. You know what I mean? Like It sounds like, and like, I think the reason business owners kind of get that too, like we sell probably 80% to business owners, small business owners. And I think that's because I think they appreciate like that we're a small business as well. But I also think like, they get the idea that like, to get anything done, you can't always paint exactly inside the lines. And I don't mean breaking the law, like the actual moral law, or even like serious like municipal laws. But I mean, like generally speaking, if you do everything by the book, it's just really hard to get things done. And that becomes truer and truer every year, because laws never like get less strict, generally speaking. They always get kind of more intense and more, like they're trying to take care of they're trying to fix stupid, and you just can't fix stupid with laws.
You will never fix stupid with laws. Yeah, it's just not possible. Yeah. Stupid will be around forever. So as you're continuing, I mean, I love the $1 million a year in donations. Shooting for 15,000 across the North America or the world. I'm putting these out there. So, what is that your like a 5-year, 10-year? What's your target?
That's our 10-year. Yeah, that's our 10-year, okay. 10-year big, hairy, audacious goal. It's probably our 9-year goal at this point, but it's we're about 10% of the way there, give or take. So I think it's realistic that we could get there, and whether or not we actually nail that, it's been a nice rallying vision of where the company's going that's allowed us to like really kind of get everyone pulling the rope in the same direction. We've went from like really a small 2 or 3 person operation to 42 people in the last 3-4 years. So I think it's doable. It's going to definitely going to involve a lot of people working hard, but we're optimistic we can get there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, working hard is the name of the game. That's what you're doing, especially when you're trying to make a difference and you're trying to grow something. I mean, that's just part of it. And your kids get to watch that and get to see that and understand like, hey, man, Dad's doing something. Just like when I was taking over this business, it's not going to take me forever to do some of the stuff. But I told him, I said, look, Dad's going to be at work more than, because I usually work from right here in this chair. Well, that's not going to be the case for the next few months. And now you get to see where Dad goes when he takes over a business and what happens and this, that, the other thing. And all, like, you get to watch it, and the kids get such a wonderful view of what that means. And I love the Ronald McDonald connection that you guys are doing, because they get to actually see what it means to give back to, and like what how much more of an impact it is that you are giving back to your community and giving back to people who need it. So I love being able to see it happen. So as you continue to grow, are you wanting to make this business like, you already mentioned your daughter says the future CEO and owner of the business, right? Are you wanting to keep this generationally? Are you trying to grow it like long term, or are you looking for an exit at some point?
I think the grow it within the family. So Carrie's brother runs our factory. And they've got a couple kids too. So yeah, we really like the idea of keeping it something we grow. Exactly how that shapes up is really hard to predict. Like Evie's currently thinks she's going to be a lawyer, and she's like, "Well, Bunkie Life will need a lawyer. You can be one of my clients, Dad." Okay, well, cool. So it's hard to say, and it's always sad when you see this like family legacy and then nobody wants to take it over. So I don't want to chain anyone to it. But I really strongly encourage, hey, like, this is a pretty good opportunity here, and I think it's only going to get bigger. So it's hard to see how it evolves, but we definitely don't have the build it to sell it mentality, I wouldn't say at all. So because I really feel like, if you build a company with the intention to sell, it's just you're building a different animal. Whereas we've always just been like, let's build a brand, takes longer. As much as like, it'd be awesome to get my face off things, I don't see that happening in the near term. But like, we are trying to build a company that could exist without us, because it's really unfair. Once you have 42 people working for you, it's a little unfair to have the whole company, like, depending on you not keeling over and dying. I think that's not, so trying to build some like robustness to the brand and the company itself. But the vision of it is, let's build this to a point where it could feed our grandkids if we can be so fortunate.
Love it. Yeah. A generational business that you can keep on working through it. Like, I don't feel like there's much better than that especially since you started this with your own hands, literally. I love being able to see that.
Yeah.
How much involvement? Go ahead. No, go ahead.
On that point, like, I've just noticed, because I'm older now, like, I've noticed the people that just kept sticking with the thing, there'd be up years and down years, but like the general trajectory is bigger. And if you think about compound interest, like, one of the greatest wonders of the world, like, it doesn't really kick in until like year 30, 40. So you see like these like legends now, and you're like, they've kind of been saying and doing the same thing for like 40 years. So it's like, how do you keep, in my case, I'm selling meaningful connection with your family. There's a lot of different ways you can take that. The vehicle right now is this log cabin kit that you can buy and build with your family. But there's a lot of different inspiring directions you can take with meaningful connection and that idea. So it's like, how do you find a good solid like why behind what you're doing, and how do you like keep it like fresh and but you're basically saying the same thing. Like, you know what I mean? I've answered the same 20 questions for the last 3 years. It's like, how do you insulate this? Like, what about bathrooms? Like, is it wired? Or like all these like questions, and there's no shame in, because everyone else is hearing about this for the first time. So it has to be fresh and new and newly presented, and I have to get the same level of enthusiasm. So for me, it's like, I can never get tired of talking to our clients. They're really awesome people. Like 99% of them are awesome. 99.9% of them are great. And so I never get excited. I never get a lack of enthusiasm solving their problem and hearing about their problem and like how did we help you? That's always exciting. Am I super excited about like smelling more wood? At this point, probably not. But like, if you can find new ways to get excited about your client or your customer, like there's just an infinite number of ways you can solve the problems, right? And you're probably still answering the same 10 questions, but like you can always have a new, fresh approach to that. And like, I just think if you do that for 30 years, like, you just get to be known as that guy, like Dave Ramsey, just, like, basically said, save your money and, don't go into debt. Like, that's basically his message. He said it for
don't go into
probably
debt.
35 years. I don't know how long. And it's really only the last 5 years where like he's like a celebrity on the YouTube shorts. But it's like he's the same guy that was like at my mom's church when I was a kid, probably, right? Or like I'm trying to think of who else. Like Colonel Sanders. Everyone talks about KFC, like, oh, Colonel Sanders like had this like late in life thing, but he actually made chicken his whole adult life. He just did it in a podunk town that had to close because a highway changed, and that's what forced him into taking what he was doing and franchising it. But like, he did chicken his whole life, even after he got pushed out of KFC, and like he was starting like the real Colonel Sanders chicken like at age 82 or something. Like the guy was a chicken guy, like he's a chicken guy, and like I just feel like for me it's like I did the music thing, but I don't want another pivot. I want to be the Bunkie guy. Like I really am good at marketing it. I really believe in the product. I really believe in like what it does. I know what it does for people that buy it. So I'm like, well, let's just continue to find a fresh take on that basic, like I said, basic 10 questions that everyone has.
Yeah. And I love that you are doubling down on the fact that this is like it's a thing for you and your family. Like your family gets to do this together. They get to build it. When you were creating this, was that the image in your head you had, was like, this is going to be something that families get together and build on a weekend and play with it, have fun with it? Or was that kind of something that you realized along the way was really what people were doing with it?
I'd say it was more like it came more sharply into focus and continues to every year.
Okay.
So it was like, it was a part of the initial thing, but like we built the buggy for ourselves, originally for my mom to stay in and my dad when they came to visit the grandkids, or the grandkid at the time. And then it came sharp into focus, like, we really enjoyed doing this together. We built this together, like me, my dad, my wife, and my father-in-law. Like, wow, like I still feel a sense of pride looking at that very first Bunkie. I'm like, wow, we did that. And how do I give that to other people? And then I originally thought everyone's going to want to rent these out on Airbnb and crush it like I did. I found there's not that, like, that does happen and does exist, but that's not enough to like build a big business around. But then I realized the people that really love these things are people that built it themselves with their kids and grandkids. Those people love their bunkies. It's like everyone else loves their bunkies, but these people love their bunkies, and they're like sharing. They want to pull their cell phone and talk to me about their cottage and their bunkie for like an hour. So like these people love their bunkies. These are like our like evangelists. So it's just like sharper focusing on them. How do we make this easier for them? Like I know these people, like every one of the people that bought the Bunkie the first year, I know them, and I know, like, I've talked to them, and like in some cases went to their cottage and saw their Bunkie and stuff. So it's like, how do I just make their experience just like even better? So I'd say like probably we kind of threw a lot of crap at the wall year 1 or 2, but like once we saw what was sticking, we just like, that's the thing we zoomed in on.
Yeah. No, I love it, and I think it fits so well with what it is, right? And the fact that that you are a dad of 5 kids, like it makes it even more of a meaningful thing that you're like, hey, we're helping other families do this. I recently saw this video on Facebook. So I've been, I think I mentioned I was thinking about building a house out on this land we're looking at buying, and it's like I saw this thing about the aluminum houses that you can get, and they bring you the shell, they set up all the stuff, and I was like, man, that's really cool. And then you have to build out the inside, or get your contractor to build out the inside. They just build you kind of the shape and the shell, and you kind of put it out there. And I was like, boy, that's really cool. And I saw this video on Facebook or something along those lines, and it was like, oh yeah, watching this couple build the inside of one of these things as I was already looking at it. It's like Facebook was watching what I was doing or something. Like, daggum Facebook. But so I'm like watching it, and it was like, imagine, telling your kids that you built you and your wife built the house together. And I'm thinking to myself, boy, how cool it would be that my boys would be able to help me, stand up these walls if we were to do that. And like, there's something about building something together as a family that is just really, really, really cool. And that you're providing that for a lot of families is phenomenal. Speaking of families, my kiddos just got home. But no, I love what you're doing. I appreciate what you're doing. I know that you and I have to kind of cut this up short, so I apologize for everybody for the shorter one. I'm going to have you on again because there's so much stuff I think that we need to be able to talk about. And I love that you are including the kids in the business, that you're homeschooling, that you're focusing on family stuff, giving back. I so much appreciate what you're doing, David. Thank you for you and your wife Carrie for running a business like this. That means a lot to somebody like me who's focused on the family side of the house. So if folks are listening and they want a Bunkie, they want to hear more, they just want to reach out to you, what is the best way for folks to get a hold of you?
Best way is go to our website, bunkielife.com. That's BUNKIE life.com. You can see all the models, all the pricing's transparently there, and you can book a time to chat with one of us. We have a pretty diverse way of shipping. You can go right to your door. We can go to like a depot near you if you want to pick it up. And we serve right now we serve all of North America minus Mexico. So all the lower 48, we're going to Alaska, and I think we might even go to Hawaii next year too.
super awesome. That is really cool. Boy, Hawaii, that's going to be a fun one. But super awesome. I love what you're doing, David. Again, thank you so very much for jumping on. I really appreciate the time. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Please go to bunkielife.com. Check out what he's got going on. I'm really looking forward to hopefully being able to get one myself as we kind of build out what it looks like. And I love what you're doing. So thank you very much. Keep it up. We'll see everybody on the next show. And thank you again, David. Talk to everybody later.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you so much for listening to the BizDad Podcast. We hope you found some value in your time here with us, and we look forward to bringing you the next episode. If you've enjoyed today's show, please subscribe and share so you and your friends won't miss our upcoming episodes. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Rumble, where we continue these discussions and share more valuable content. Be the dad you know you need to be and run your business in a way you're proud to share with your kids. Keep crushing it.